again. Welcome to another round of book reviews, which I've sort of thought up for you. So before we actually launch into ones you haven't seen before, I have shown you this before. This is Pip Williams' Dictionary of Lost Words. It is our book of the month because we absolutely love it. It comes from a firm press, so historical fiction at its finest. A really great story. You have heard me, and if you haven't, you can check earlier reviews. But yeah, come in for that one if you haven't read it before. This is my first new one up today. So Sticks and Stones by Catherine Firkin from Penguin, and this is an absolute smasher. It's a detective story set in Melbourne, so we're in St Kilda's and Footscray, and we have, I'll pop that one back there, we have a serial killer and we have different women that he is targeting, unfortunately. Not too gory, but we have the storylines of those women all meticulously plotted and woven in together in what is a really very tightly written, very pacey, but not in any way sensationalist detective novel, which I do highly recommend because it's a great one. I think we'll be seeing more from Catherine Firkin, I definitely hope so, as a debut as a novel, because she's a journalist. You will be, I think, as interested and excited as I am by her detective and by her the way she writes a detective narrative. Top class. So come in for that one. It's a great read. This one is Therese Ann Fowler has written into historical fiction, very well researched. This one, A Good Neighbourhood, is one that Amy read because I was unsure why I hadn't been moving this off the shelves as fast as I thought it would go. So I said, Amy, you have I'll put it there, sorry, I have to get this right. Amy loved it. I will read out to you what she actually says about it, but or a sentence or two, but it's about a neighbourhood where a black family had been established and a white family comes, and because of the way they build the house, they destroy a huge big tree, and there is a court case, but the two young people fall in love. So it's about very, very timely. Amy says she did find it an incredibly powerful and relevant read, a modern day Romeo and Juliet tragedy. So it's a kind of a doomed love story, so you know that it's not going to be all joy and happiness, but a timely exploration into issues that are facing all of us today when it comes to issues of race, power, privilege. A stunning read, very tightly written. You know you're in safe hands with that one. Another new one out for us, Robbie Arnott's The Rain Heron. Now, we have had Flames before, which I absolutely loved, and I think many of you were persuaded to give it a go and loved it also. This one is a fable construction, if you like. I think Robbie's written an absolute humdinger here. Early on I sort of said, well, why does it have to be so stylized, so fable? And I think that he's talking about things that are quite brutal and quite essential. It's about power, it's about greed, and it's about what we want from nature, what we want from each other, how far we're prepared to go to get those things. He writes with an incredible intensity. He's highly poetic, and he's incredibly linked to landscape, and this comes through in his first novel. Now it's come through again in this one. We have a rain heron, we have climate, we have weather, we have harvesting ink from squids, we have people who want the secrets. Fantastic read. Some great women. Some of the men aren't quite as convincing, or deliberately. I think Robbie likes to give strong women. There's a lot of very, very interesting explorations of brutality of nature, of dispassionate behaviour because of a greater need, not a greater good, but a greater need. Power. He writes that exceptionally well. A stunner. Come in for that one. Another one which is in a different sort of, this one's from Text Publishing, forgot to say that, sorry. This one is from Paper and Faber, so that's International Booker Prize shortlist. Discomfort of Evening by Marieke Lucas Rinjeveld. Oh my goodness, it's an astonishing read, not necessarily easy. The world through the eyes of a 10-year-old Netherlands Dutch girl who lives in kind of rural environment, how she sees that world, how she associates things in that world, how the loss of her brother, who disappears on the ice one day, absolutely causes that world to implode. But at the same time, she's still looking at all the things you do as a child, and life goes on. Or does it? Fascinating read. It's a glory of words. I would say don't expect a light read of that one, but expect an intense read. Something that is a bit lighter is Emma Jane Answorth's Adults. This comes to us from Hachette, if I am not wrong. Now there's a lighter read, but by the same token, don't underestimate it. I think it has been underestimated in the reviewing I have seen of it. David read it and said, oh my goodness, he said, it seems to be incredibly funny, but it's not that it's that funny. He said, if you don't cry or find that it's poignant and difficult, you're obviously not a human. It is about learning to become adult. The girl in our main character is 35, her life's a bit shambolic, and she seems to think that it's more important to celebrate being followed by the right celebrity on social media than it is to tell people about having a miscarriage. This is the girl who can write a suicide note with a joke at the end of it. So interesting about friendships, about mother, about finally accepting that we have to grow up. Amazing lines in there. This one stopped me in my tracks. I stopped breathing. I think it's one of the best books out at the moment, Burning. I have to read her name because I'll always pronounce it, by Megha Majumdar. Now it's set in Calcutta. It is political, but it's also about being human. It's about, there are three perspectives in this. We have a young girl who is wrongly accused of being a terrorist. We have a young Hijra, one of the intergender characters called Lovely, who wants to be an actress, and you feel that people laugh at that to a certain extent until she starts pulling emotion out of the depths of herself, and we see where that goes. And we have a school teacher who also is vastly underappreciated in the school, who manages for some reason to get into politics. Now, it's not about fate. This is about people make decisions and how the impact of those decisions affect lives, and how sometimes those lives are not deemed important enough. Fascinating read. It's great pacey writing. She's confident, she's loose, but she's intense. I think it's a stunner. This one I've just put down. This is Expectation by, well, I've actually just put down that one, and I put down that one, if I'm honest, before, but this one kind of stays with me for a different set of reasons. It's more comfortable. Three women who have been friends since just the beginning of university, and how their life choices are completely different. Who they love, why they love them, why or they do or don't have children, what their career path is, how they get on with their parents, how they find themselves, you know, their social situation. It is a little bit like Normal People, but I'm going to stop using Normal People as our go-to, because this is earthy, it's warm, it's got belly, it's visceral. I think it's a stunning read about women's friendships, but not just about women's friendships. It's not just a book for women, it's a book for everybody. I love that, and I do encourage you to come and read that one as well. So all of those are stunning reads. Come in for them, and I'll be happy to talk to you about more books if you come into the shop. If not, I will have more reviews for you in goodness knows when, in a week. See you then.